The neon sign of the motel buzzed and sputtered in the fading light of dusk, throwing an unhealthy, greenish-pink wash across the cracked asphalt of the parking lot as I eased my car into an empty space. Tara had messaged me earlier saying she'd be stuck late at the office handling some event setup, but a careless comment from one of her coworkers, something about her slipping out hours ahead of schedule, had lodged like a splinter under my skin. 6 years of marriage stretched behind us, moments of real warmth tangled up with quiet tensions that had been building for too long. Lately the signs had multiplied. Her phone always angled away, her explanations thin and hurried, her evenings accounted for in vague, slippery terms. Doubt had taken root and refused to leave. I followed the little dot on the tracking app straight to this tired, low-slung building on the edge of town. My pulse hammered in my ears as I walked the dim corridor and stopped outside room 12. The door gave under my hand with a soft click. Inside, the air hung heavy with the cloying sweetness of discount perfume mixed with something sharper. Guilt, maybe, or just the residue of bad decisions. Tara stood near the center of the room, frozen, her eyes enormous and glassy with sudden terror. Her blouse hung crooked, only a couple of buttons done up, the rest gaping open. "Mark, please don't look," she whispered, the words cracking as she hurried to plant herself between me and the bathroom door like a human shield. Her voice shook so badly it barely carried. The bed looked like a crime scene, sheets twisted, pillows shoved aside. A man's leather jacket lay carelessly draped across the back of a chair. My stomach lurched, but I didn't raise my voice. I simply moved forward, eyes never leaving hers, and gently but firmly stepped around her reaching hands. She clutched at my sleeve, tears already spilling. I needed to see. I had to. The bathroom light was harsh and unflinching. There he was, mid-30s, shirtless, skin gone ashen, rooted to the spot like he'd forgotten how legs worked. I knew the face instantly. Jason, the guy from her company's Christmas party who always seemed to orbit a little too close to her, laughing too loudly at her jokes, touching her elbow when he thought no one noticed. "It's not what it looks like," Tara choked out from behind me, the classic line sounding even weaker in real life than it does in movies. The evidence didn't need translation. I turned slowly to face her. She had sunk onto the edge of the mattress, shoulders heaving, hands pressed over her face as though she could block out what was happening. "Why?" I asked. My voice came out quiet, almost conversational, even though something vital inside me was caving in. "I felt so alone," she managed between sobs. "You were always at work. Always gone. Jason, he actually listened to me." The words landed like a backhanded slap, her loneliness somehow my fault, her decision to cross that line somehow my negligence. I stood there thinking of the small good things we used to share, her sleepy smile over coffee on Saturday mornings, the way we used to map out weekend getaways on the kitchen table with too many highlighters. Those memories now felt poisoned, smeared with what I'd just walked in on. I slipped my wedding band off my finger, set it carefully on the scarred wooden dresser. The faint metallic clink seemed impossibly loud in the sudden hush. "You made your choice," I told her, holding her gaze until she looked away. She reached for me, fingers trembling, voice breaking. "Mark, please. I love you." But the declaration rang hollow, smothered by the reality still standing half-naked in the bathroom doorway. I walked out. The door closed behind me with a solid, final thud. Her cries grew smaller, swallowed by the night and the low drone of traffic on the highway. I drove to a friend's place on autopilot, the road dissolving into streaks through unshed tears. My phone lit up again and again, texts pouring in, apologies, explanations, desperate claims that it was only once, that it meant nothing. I let the screen go dark. The next morning I sat down with a lawyer, not to file papers right then, but to understand exactly what my rights looked like, what steps I could take whenever I was ready. Tara appeared at my friend's door later that day, eyes red-rimmed and face drawn tight with exhaustion. "It was just one mistake," she pleaded, tears tracking fresh paths down her cheeks. I studied her, the woman I had once believed I'd grow old with, and answered calmly. "You begged me not to look because you already knew exactly what I would see." She recoiled as though I'd struck her. My restraint seemed to hurt her more than shouting ever could. The real wound wasn't only the physical betrayal, it was every lie that came before it, every locked screen, every half-truth she fed me while she built a secret life. We attempted counseling. The sessions were brutal, her shame colliding head-on with my grief. She confessed she'd felt invisible, that she'd chased validation to patch an emptiness she didn't know how to name. I admitted my part too, the endless construction deadlines, the way I'd let work become an excuse to avoid seeing how far apart we drifted. Still, the choice to act on those feelings belonged to her alone. Leaving the ring on that dresser had rattled her deeply. It stripped away any illusion that I would simply absorb the pain and carry on as before. She severed contact with Jason completely and quit the job soon after. But trust isn't something you can glue back together overnight. It slips through your fingers like smoke. Months passed. We lived separately. She sent letters, left small thoughtful gifts at my door, kept showing up to therapy even when I stayed silent for weeks. Forgiveness remained out of reach. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw her standing in front of that bathroom door, pleading, "Don't look." One night a voicemail came through. Her voice was quiet, hesitant, stripped of pretense. "I'll wait for you, Mark. However long it takes." I played it once, then again. The ache was still there, sharp, familiar, but it no longer felt like it would swallow me whole. That single night in the motel had broken something fundamental inside me, yet walking away with steady steps and leaving the ring behind had also given me back a piece of myself I hadn't realized I'd lost. Tara's desperate attempt to shield me from the truth had really been about shielding herself from accountability. But I had looked. And in doing so, I had finally set myself free. We remained apart. The future stayed clouded, full of question marks. Her betrayal had ripped the marriage open. Yet my decision to walk out, to choose dignity over denial, had opened a narrow path, not necessarily back to her, but forward to something better, whatever shape that might eventually take.